Okay, hello everyone. Welcome again to our channel. This is the Dirty South Project. In case you have not been following us for the past few weeks, we are the Dirty South Project, as I said, and currently our content talks about the 5 pillars of training as we believe it. And this is the fifth and final episode of our first season, as you may want to think of it that way. And we're going to be talking about sleep. And again, in case you've wondered what the purpose is or why we do this, we really want to just send out or put out insights, information, content to help people with growth and development, particularly and specifically for athletes, competitive athletes. Primarily talking about CrossFit as a sport, but this is very applicable to other things, especially if you're into strength and conditioning, and you can take the lessons how they transfer and really work with life as well, whether it's your career or in general. So today's topic is sleep, and in reality it's a very broad spectrum. If we had to talk about it, one episode would definitely be not enough. 20 minutes would definitely be not enough. We'd have to have more time on it. So with that, we're just going to sort of dial in on certain aspects. We're going to talk about the circadian system or the circadian cycle and why it's important. We're going to talk about how sleep is probably one of the greatest supplements to recovery as well, which was tackled in episode number 3, I believe. And we're going to give you guys suggestions on how to go about improving or changing your sleep habits to assist your training. Again, our audience is primarily competitive athletes after all. So, the first part is we're going to talk about the circadian rhythm and what it is. Now, you can Google it, you can search about it, and there's a lot of information and data that's going to be presented online. You can talk to doctors about it, your physical therapists, they probably know about it. So we'll keep it basic, we'll keep it simple. It's basically your body's internal body clock for when you wake up and when you sleep, whether that's regular or irregular. So from the point of waking up to the point of sleeping, considering a 24-hour time frame. Why is this important for performance? Why is this important for athletes in general? And we're going to talk about that first part. In terms of performance, when your circadian rhythm is in check, right? It's when your body's properly sleeping and waking up at the same time. The ability to maintain intensity in your sessions obviously increases. You'll have the optimal level of your CNS, especially if you are lifting, your central nervous system. And of course, last but not least, when it comes to training, you're preventing injuries. So right there and then, we have a lot of importance on sleep because sleep is the number one thing that breaks that cycle. If you're not sleeping and waking up at the same time, your performance in training or competition greatly gets affected. The second thing about that is cognitive function, or your ability to think, make decisions, anything that uses your brain. And with regards to training and performance, when your circadian rhythm and cycle is off, you're basically losing focus. You're losing the ability to make decisions quickly when you guys are training. And when it comes to approaching your training, you also don't have that level of focus as you would if you had a controlled or a systematic circadian cycle, an appropriate one at that. Factors such as strategizing for your workouts, understanding what the stimulus is of each of the segments of your workouts, as well as modifying movements or scaling the weights as needed during your session can be affected with your lack of or your debilitated cognitive function as well. And again, we redirect importance to the circadian rhythm, the circadian cycle, because of that. So right now we're just sort of hammering down the importance of waking up and sleeping at the same time, because that's basically how we're going to get that internal clock to function continuously and properly every day. The last bit on the circadian rhythm is behavior. When you're not sleeping and waking up at the same time of the day, there will be behavioral changes. Now, a lot of these changes can affect other things in life, but we'll dial in on what that means in training. When there are behavioral blah, 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 it's like a little tongue twister. When you have problems with your behavior, you're looking at motivation issues. And if you're one that already deals with it a lot, or if you're already one that is not too good at dealing with it, then it's important to have one less factor affected. So if you've got your circadian rhythm in check, you're better off managing your behavioral changes as well. Second part to this is recovery, as I mentioned. Why is sleep such a great supplement, or one of the primary supplements to recovery as well? In sleep, specifically when you're resting, right? Your bones, your muscles, and your CNS, that's the optimal time where it's repairing. Because you're not engaging in any physical activity, your body is in a state of complete and utmost relaxation. And apart from sleepiness being a feedback, fatigue being a feedback, we should take into consideration, that being said, we should take into consideration what, when, and how we should be approaching it to tackle these certain feedbacks. So if your body is sore, if you're feeling really sleepy, then sleep is obviously the answer that it's looking for. It's the stimulus that it's looking for. So we'll just put like a simple factor there, or a simple note in there. When it comes to sleep and recovery, simple math. More quantity, more quality, or better quality, equals more recovery. So right there and then, greater amounts of sleep, more consistently as well, and quality of sleep, I'll go more into detail on that in a bit, equals better recovery. And that's why it's important. And I want to use the next point, taking off a word from just what I just said, placing importance in sleep. When we recognize and use sleep as a tool for increasing performance, for improving our training sessions, we're already taking a step in the right direction. I want to use a sort of like a real life event or a real life example. A day before a throwdown or a day before a lifting competition, all of us, we're pretty good at saying, yeah, I'm gonna get a good 6 to 8 hours nights of sleep, I'm gonna get good quality of sleep, and all of a sudden we're doing so many rituals that we may or may not be regularly doing to get that sleep, to prepare us for game day. So my question is, or my point here is, why can't we do that even just for a regular training day? And honestly, the answer is very simple. The intention is different. When it's game day, when a certain result is intended, an optimal result is being chased after, we have more incentive to sleep better. But you see, that's the problem. We can have that same ritual, we can have that same intention if we just broaden our perspective. So if we take a look at the situation, if we take a look at the whole thing as a bigger piece, we'll understand that the importance that you put on game day and modifying your sleep to achieve an optimal result is exactly the same thing as getting a great training session in the next day. Improving your motivation problems, improving your appetite, improving mood, and all of the things that follow, especially if you have your circadian rhythm in check. The last thing about recovery would be relating effort to adaptation. And I want to be very specific on this one. When it comes to physical changes, right? Body. When we start to work out more, lift heavier, lose fat, you see it. We feel it. You get to observe it, you get to measure it. And the same goes for anything that's performance related. When you start to lift heavier, you run faster, you move faster, there's time, there's weight, it's all measurable as well. When it comes to nutritional adjustments, it's more of a feeling feedback. So we start to feel better, more energy, less energy, whatever it is. But we also see it, There's direct feedback. If I'm eating better, I can see it, how my body is showing. The thing about those three things, though, is it takes time for adaptation. We know how to put in the effort. We lift more, we lift heavier, we eat better, so on and so forth. And we're a little bit more patient when it comes to that adapting, or our bodies adapting to those changes. But when it comes to sleep, it's a little harder to monitor. So my point here is the efforts that you guys put into improving the quality and quantity of your sleep, don't give up on the first signs of failure. You're looking at 1 to 3 days, 1 to 3 attempts, don't stop there. Each person's different. The adaptation periods might be shorter or longer for some people. The point here is you want to look at the effort that you're putting in. Now that you've monitored that, monitor the amount of time it takes to adapt, or be patient with the adaptation of your body as well. If you're not consciously looking for the improvements of the rest of your day or your training through better sleep or through longer sleep, take your time to do so. Effort and adaptation. So, pretty much, those were the aspects of the recovery and why it's important. And I think hopefully we put a lot of importance already on why sleep is one of the main factors for recovery as well. So we're gonna go through a couple of suggestions, because I know a lot of us, we get lost, and if it's not put on our plate, sometimes we don't end up doing it. So I'm gonna throw out a couple of things. We're gonna go back and forth between simple steps and a little bit harder or more complex steps. Hopefully all of which help you guys achieve better quality or better quantity of sleep as well. The first one we're gonna say is, as we did with recovery, as we did with managing injuries, seek the help of experts, professionals. Look for a sleep doctor or a sleep specialist and consult with them. More often than not, they're not gonna go around the motions anymore. They're gonna go straight to the data that you present to them. They're gonna go straight to your habits, what you do, and dial in on the problem. And for us, seeking the help of professionals always merits or gives you guys a good payout in the end. Second thing is pretty straightforward. Caffeine naps, or regular naps in general. Now, this could be changing for each person. Some people tend to work out in the morning, afternoon, or evening, so this may or may not be applicable to you. But what's a caffeine nap? So a caffeine nap is when you intake caffeine or coffee and you take a 15-30 minute nap, especially for those who have an easier time falling asleep during the day, and then you go about the rest of your day. Now, if this is before training, you'll feel more energy during your session. If this is after your training, you'll feel more energy doing other things in life, career-based or anything based really. Take naps. Number 3. So if the first one is consult a specialist, the third one would be thinking about what your efforts can be. Now, the internet is such a broad thing. There's a lot of resources out there. There are a lot of books out there as well in libraries or bookstores. And I think we just don't have that much time, or we haven't spent that much effort in seeking out knowledge on these things. So if you're currently one of those people that struggles with sleep, we highly suggest that you guys do try it out. Research online on how sleep can be improved. Look for a book, read up on it. The key word though, don't forget here, is performance. You are an athlete, you want to make sure that what your research is trying to get to is for better performance as well with regards to physical activity and training. Number 4, we know for a fact that unforeseen circumstances can occur. Whether you're very delved into work, you're having some physical changes in your bodies. I don't want to be specific with the females getting their menstruation. I'm not gonna go into that and stuff. You have kids, you have somebody that you're taking care of, family that's keeping you very busy, and it's causing a very erratic schedule for your sleep. Now, I'm not saying to change out all of these things. As we said, they're unforeseen or they're uncontrollable. What you can change, however, is the way your intensity is managed during your session. So when you know that your sleep cycle, and you know that you didn't get quality or quantity of sleep, my suggestion now is to just manage your intensity when you guys train. Number 5 is when you guys have extreme cases of sleep difficulty, myself included. I'll throw out a bunch of things that you guys can look into, but don't forget the effort and adaptation point that we said. You have to put in the effort, you have to give it a shot, you have to give it a try for you to actually figure out if it works for you or not. We've got supplementation, food supplements, natural or medication. We got light manipulation. Light is known to be one of the biggest disruptive things for sleep. Why not try wearing a eye mask to sleep? Why not getting blackout curtains to block off all the light when you guys do go to sleep? Music. Try it out. If you're one of those that's not stimulated greatly by audio stuff, by sound, you might want to try playing around with music that's relatively calming and it can help you go to sleep. You'll never know. Room plants, essential oils, scents, these all fall under the same segment. It may or may not work for you. You may or may not believe in it. But again, effort and adaptation. You'll never know till you try. Last but not the least is temperature management. This one is a little bit more sure. At a hotter temperature, we have a more difficult time to sleep. At colder temperatures, we have an easier time to sleep as well. But that's not always just related to temperature. We're looking at airflow as well. So if you've not looked into changing that about where or when you sleep as well, you might want to look into it as well. Next up, number 6, stimulation change. And this is pretty straightforward. Caffeine is one of the things that keeps us awake. If you've not made any changes about at what point in the day you've cut it off or you've stopped taking it, and you're not taking an analytical approach to if that's not helping you guys fall asleep, you might want to stop and take a look at what's happening. Try stopping taking coffee or anything anything that has caffeine at a certain time in the day and see how that affects your sleep. And caffeine as a stimulant, that's one consideration. We have other stimulants as well. When you're reading, watching videos, TV, cell phone, Netflix, these are all stimulating your brain. And if you try to sleep soon after that, your brain is still very stimulated and it's going to have a hard time shutting off. So try, and these are all, pretty straightforward. I'm sure you've heard or seen this before, these kinds of tips before. Try stopping at an earlier time, farther away from your designated sleep time. Next would be nutritional adjustments, and right here and there, it's going to be very different for a lot of people as well. Some people don't drink alcohol, some people don't eat very late, but do your research. Look at what alcohol does for when you're going to try to sleep. Not exactly the length of sleep, but the quality of sleep. Do your own research so that you can be enlightened a little bit more on that aspect. But more than that, try to think of what you're eating during the day, especially closer to bedtime, and see how the quality of your food could potentially affect your ability to sleep, the length of your sleep, or the quality of your sleep as well. Last two would be sleep log or journalizing your sleep. If you're one of those that likes to work with numbers and routines, this might help you a lot. It's important that you take note of what time you sleep and wake up every day, and you try to keep a sleep log on that. We've got gadgets nowadays. It's easier to do that. You can write it down. You can log it on your cell phone. You can get an app to do that for you. But being able to see the data could help you guys analyze whether you're improving, or you can correlate, as we mentioned earlier, we can correlate how things are improving on other aspects and how our bodies are slowly adapting to this improved effort on getting quantity and quality sleep. And the last suggestion we have for you guys is any effort is better than none. Again, just much like anything, you'll never know if something works until you try. And whether you tried and you got the results that you wanted or you didn't, you're already a better person. You probably learned a thing or two about better sleep. You probably learned a thing or two about habits that you may be doing that's not helping you sleep, and you're eliminating that. So whether the end result is what you intended, that's fine. And that pretty much sums up all the suggestions that we have for you guys. We try to keep it just kind of simple, something that you can execute, and then we kind of go more into also the more complex stuff, especially for those who've tried the simple stuff and kind of need an enlightenment on the other things that they can try to do as well. And that pretty much sums up as well our 5th and final episode on this first series. So again, we just want to remind everybody that if you liked any of our videos, specifically this one, please don't forget to share the video and hit that subscribe button. And if you're not following us on Instagram and Facebook, do follow us. We are the Dirty South Project on both platforms. And from the heart, we just want to thank everyone for watching. And if you've gone through the 5 episodes that we released on this first season, we hope that you guys walked away somewhat better in any aspect or form. before we say goodbye, we want to kind of throw out a question to you guys. What do you think our next series should be about? What are the topics or subjects that you guys want the Dirty South Project to discuss? Or what are the things that are you may have questions that you guys may want us to answer? So whatever they are, please leave them in the comments below on YouTube, or if you're not doing it on that platform, feel free to message us on either Instagram, Facebook, or you can even email us. In behalf of the team, we appreciate you all, and we wish you all the best in training and life. This is the DSP video, still without a series name because we're hipster that way. Season 1. Signing off. Bye everyone.